That annual moment. It is just magical. Look at the colours, the wonderful horses, and these 4 carriages. And in that first carriage, Charlotte, are the King and Queen. We believe the Queen will be here every day. The King probably not here tomorrow, but here today.
No, and we know very much that despite his diagnosis, that he was still keen to attend as much as possible this week. And I think it really sets the tone, doesn't it, with him being here today. We know that he has had a busy week, what with trooping the colour. He was at the polo at the weekend, the Garter service as well. And the Queen there looking absolutely resplendent, and also seated in the first carriage, the Duke and Duchess of Wellington. They're among the King and Queen's inner circle, part of their tight-knit social set, and it is just wonderful to see. You can sort of feel the air of excitement, I think, the first glimpse of that carriage as it comes into vision. That cobalt blue, very striking, and it's something actually the late Queen always used to do, wear bright colours so that people could spot you wherever they were stood in the crowds, and just lovely to see.
We'll see John Warren in just a second. An interesting quote from him this week, saying that Charles has horses and racehorses in his DNA. How would you describe the relationship where we were last year, the King and Queen, who we see there on the right, with the sport of horse racing?
Well, it's definitely got quite a bit stronger, particularly with the Queen's involvement. They're very noticeable. They're owned by the King and Queen. It's a partnership. She's very involved. But also, like a lot of things with his late mother, he didn't want to be that involved when she was involved. And now he's very much buying into it, as he has bought into a funny thing, so many different parts of her life.
And it's lovely, isn't it, as well, that Camilla, I know, is very involved with it. She's talked about Ascot being the most special week. She's talked about the feeling, what it's like to win. There's nothing to describe the excitement of winning. And I remember a story she had said about how excited she was to watch one of their foals being born on a screen. So I think she's very much wanting to be a part of it, to be involved with it all, to be able to keep an eye on proceedings.
And the Duke of Wellington on the left there carried the Queen's crown to the high altar of Westminster Abbey. Sure be involved in the Waterloo ceremony that takes place at Windsor Castle tonight. They have a busy day as we go to carriage 2, Charlotte.
And in the second carriage we have the Princess Royal, we have the Lady Gabriella Kingston, Mr. Peter Phillips and Mr. John Warren as well. Now the Princess Royal, of course, we all know, a long connection with the horse world, a former Olympic equestrian herself. We saw her on horseback at Trooping the Colour at the weekend. She was riding Noble. Now this was a horse gifted to the King by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. He's a bit of a handful, that horse, actually, but she did brilliantly riding that one. And Lady Gabriella Kingston there, who's very much being supported by the family. She sadly lost her husband earlier this year. She's the second cousin of the King, and she was also there watching Trooping the Colour at the weekend.
When we were in the carriage yesterday, one of the ladies organising it told us that Princess Anne and the Princess Royal and Peter Phillips used to take her children galloping round Windsor Park on their ponies.
Oh.
And tell us a little bit about the Princess Royal, because you were chairman of the Inter-Jockeys Fund with her as the patron. She works harder than anyone, doesn't she?
Well, she's very direct. She's an extraordinary woman, because she has a great ability to sum things up. And she's got her father's sort of directness, but she can sum up a meeting quite beautifully. And she's so enthusiastic. And horses are only one of 1,000 charities, well, not 1,000, but hundreds she's involved in.
Here's carriage 3 then, Charlotte.
So in carriage 3 we have the Earl of Halifax, the Countess of Halifax, Mrs. Simon Elliot and Sir Ben Elliot as well. Now the Earl and Countess of Halifax are close family friends of the Queen's. The Countess of Halifax was Queen Camilla's sister-in-law. She was married to the brother of Andrew Parker Bowles, and they both spent time at the Halifax's estate at Garraby. And Mrs. Simon Elliot is Camilla's sister Annabel, an interior designer. She's her close confidant. She, you may remember, played a key role attending the Queen at the coronation, and her son Sir Ben Elliot there, so Camilla's nephew, former co-chairman of the Conservative Party, and he's married to Mary Claire Winwood, daughter of the musician Steve Winwood.
That's right, rock musician.
Yes.
That was carriage 3. And at the back there you can see carriage 4. Who have we got in there today?
And in the fourth carriage we have Sir Johnny Weatherby, Lady Weatherby, Mr. and Mrs. Rafe Beckett. So very much well known to the horsing world. Sir Johnny Weatherby was Her Majesty's representative here at Ascot for some 9 years, serving the late Queen.
And 23 years with Ascot, extraordinary. So he also was actually an amateur rider. Road winners, he was actually rode in the Fox Hunters. Road winners on a horse of his own called Sam Farner, I remember, trained by...
Won it as an owner as well.
What?
He won it as an owner as well, which is lovely.
Rafe Beckett been training for 25 years. Last year had his best ever year, and he's got a runner for the King, as I said, on Saturday.
So we should wait to see what happens with that.
Well, let's wait to see what happens with this. This is something a little bit new, because Mark Hayes, we think, is somewhere in amongst it. Where are you, Mark? I love seeing Johnny Weatherby here. Big Leicester City fan. Hasn't had the easiest time, the family, recently, but a huge, huge part of this place and the sport, as you say, Bruff.
Yes, you look at that picture. Almost all these horses, all the horses were in the Tribute of the Colour on Saturday. So they come back out here, and again, the King takes I'm talking to Matt Powers, who's the closest one to them. He's the head coachman. The King takes a great interest, you're saying, really interested in the whole thing, knows the horses, knows what it's about. So coming up here is much more than just a duty. It's a part of the whole thing.
Tribute of the Colour was pretty spectacular at the weekend. Weather was awful.
Yes.
The cameras very much seemed to be trained on one person.
They had a lot to contend with, didn't they? I mean, I think, having the King there, but obviously having the Princess of Wales there was just so special, wasn't it? And to see them united, they've both obviously got their cancer diagnosis, but I think actually I'm full of admiration for how they were both there, how the King is there today.
Sunshine makes such a difference for the race girls, but also for the royal procession. It looks so different and so good in sunshine with the wonderful horses and the carriages. The Princess Royal on the near side there. She'll be able to talk at length with the Halifaxes about racing. The Earl of Halifax, the former chairman of York Racecourse. And now they'll come down the walkway where the winning horses do through the afternoon. It was amazing last year, we talked about that Thursday, but from there, the King and Queen had a runner in the St Leger, which they attended, and then they were excited to be at Epsom on Oaks Day as well, which is maybe a connection we weren't quite expecting.
Well, yes, but racing belongs to everyone. It belongs to the world, it belongs to everyone, and the embrace across nation is the greatest thing that racing can do.
And what I love is actually when you see him here, the king here, and when Desert Hero won, for example, he was overcome with emotion. You could see just how much that means to him, and I think that's really special, actually, that he shows it's not just turning up and being here, but actually that personal involvement, the emotion behind it when one of your horses wins.
And he looks so relaxed today compared to this day 12 months ago, I reckon. As for the first time, they will come into this famous paddock and everyone getting their vantage points. Look at the telephones. We'll get their first sight of the royal party.
As the claps and the cheers begin.
What if the Queen's stunning outfit today could be a sign for the big race brush at 4:25 at St James's Palace? Notable speech colours, aren't they?
Notable speech. Beautiful name, a beautiful horse. Ascot's bank of the meeting. Hey, straight up. It may go down.
Nick Smith says it's the best he's seen in his 24 years here. You've had 60. How good at St James's Palace is that?
I think it brings the Guineas winners together. That's the aim, and it's achieved it. It's absolutely wonderful.
The first time since